Turfs Up Radio. I'm your host, Angelique, and today we are meeting Shiloh, who is a landscape contractor and has been one since the age of 13. And now he has launched, with the help of his team, a new software program because they couldn't find any software that delivered costs and estimates the way they wanted to on the market. So listen in and hear a little bit more about their new product that just launched about 6 months ago, Zevbit, and see if you want to try it out yourself. Note that we are doing this on video, so I'll also upload it to YouTube so you can see the visuals as well. But listen to our episode just now. Welcome to Synced on Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and today I have Shiloh and Austin, both from Zevbit. Did I say that right, guys?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I thought we'd get started with hearing a little bit about each of you, what you've done in the industry, how you got started in the industry, and then we can fast forward to your cool new software. So
Absolutely.
who wants to start? Shiloh, do you want to start?
I'll start off with it. My name is Shiloh. I started a landscape hardscaping company about 6 years ago. I was 13, 14 years old, getting started mowing lawns around our neighborhood. So that's kind of initially how we got into it. We then started to grow and scale our business into more landscape projects, doing full backyard remodels, paper patios, concrete, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, we got it
Awesome.
up to like 10 to 12 employees. We were going pretty good. And then we kind of decided that we really wanted to scale it to the next level. So we started bringing on like salespeople, designers, like an office, really kind of scaling up until we had about 40 employees that are kind of max size. So we went through that whole scale of like from a small little, lawn care company up to, pretty large landscape construction type projects.
Great.
Um,
And you're located in Colorado.
Colorado, yes.
Whereabouts in Colorado?
We're just out of Denver,
Okay.
surrounding Denver. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And so how many years from, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but was that 10 years ago? Was that how
Yeah.
far
So we started
that you built?
initially about 6 years ago. Started
Okay.
in the lawn care side. Yeah. And then we did lawn care, kind of small landscape projects for about a year. And then that's when we started transitioning into like more landscape
The
projects only and kind of
hardscaping.
dropped off the landscape, the lawn maintenance side.
Okay. Oh, so you don't do the maintenance side anymore.
No, nope.
Okay. Why is that? If you don't mind me asking.
It was just a decision at the beginning. Like at first we got into the lawn care and then we kind of started getting the opportunity of these larger landscaping projects, and
Yeah.
that was just taking all of our time and attention where we couldn't like keep doing the lawns we had at the time. And then we just kind of never really got back into it, into the lawn side. But I do know a lot of companies that are successful with lawn care, so
It's a
nothing against that.
different, yeah, it's a different model, isn't it? It's a whole
Yeah.
different type of company. So awesome. Okay. And Austin, where are you located?
Yeah, I'm out here in Lake Tahoe, but I just got to add to Shiloh's story. My favorite
Okay.
part about Shiloh's childhood and like him starting his business was him hiring his first employee to drive him from job site to job site because he didn't have a license yet. I just have to
Oh,
check
you
that
left
off.
that bit out, Shiloh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I started when I was like 14, 15. And when I was 15, we started doing like more landscape projects. And I didn't have I had my permit, but I couldn't like drive by myself at that time. So I ended up hiring my like office assistant, and she would come with to estimate so that we could drive there. And yeah, that was like my first time with an office assistant, like having someone in the office, like answering calls and helping manage it. But yeah, we got started at a very young point. We needed assistance with the driving part.
And so, what made you go into it in the first place? Was it just a kind of a something you could do close by and
Yeah, so it was really just trying to make some extra money on the side. Like as kids, just wanted some cash, and that's why we started lawn care. And then we started to see the opportunity in it, because as we started doing lawn care projects, homeowners would ask us to do mulch or some landscaping, and we started getting these little bigger projects. And then we got a $10,000 job, and we're like, damn, like this could actually be something. And then next thing we know, we're doing like a $40,000, $50,000 project. So Yeah, it was definitely just starting out trying to make some money in the lawn care side, and then it turned into something way bigger than that.
Yeah. And how old are you today?
I'm about to turn 20.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, sounds like, hit the ground running and didn't look back. So, yeah, happy that you're in the industry now.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, we've had a long journey since then, lots of ups and downs, and it's been a roller coaster ride, but a lot of really important lessons that we've learned, good things that we've taken away, found fundamental business points that were like really important for us to kind of figure out, learning our numbers, how to job cost, how to estimate, like all these different things that kind of go into building up a company like that.
And how were you learning about all the things in the industry? Did you know other people in the industry? Did you
Yeah.
research a lot?
Yeah, I connected with a lot of people in the industry, joined like all the groups I could on Facebook and whatnot, just to get around other landscape business owners and try to soak up as much as I could. I also went to like events and any like sales training I could and whatnot. But yeah, there was a lot of other people I kind of consulted with to try and fast track things.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Austin, do you want to give us
Yeah,
a rundown of your industry experience?
yeah, of course. And I met Shiloh about 3 years ago. So I believe Shiloh at the time was about like 17 years old. And when I heard his story and like what he created with the software, the initial guy that built this thing, I was blown away. Seriously, I was working for one of our other founders. He was running a hardscape company up in Montana. I was born and raised in Northern California, where my dad bought a tractor when I was like 11 years old, and I was just doing field mowing and small landscaping projects. But my main background was more in agriculture. I went to
Okay.
college, kind of did the college thing, and realized that there's like I'm not poo-pooing the whole college deal, but I realized that there's so much money out there to be made in these contracting businesses. So we kind of were on our path. I was working for one of the other founders. We met Shiloh, and the rest is history. We saw what he created with the software, and we realized how big of an impact it can have, not only on people's individual businesses, but how it can allow them to grow and scale in the proper way, knowing their numbers, being as profitable as possible on projects, and inevitably hiring more people, putting more food on more tables. And like, that's our big dream here. Our big dream is helping these companies grow and scale in the correct fashion and making sure that they know their numbers throughout the entire time. So the software has been extremely beneficial to companies across the US. We're working with a few hundred contractors. We're seeing really good results when it comes to not only profitability, but also to close rates on projects. We're allowing them to
Wow.
get contracts to clients quicker as well. Um, like if they're not estimating during the job walk and presenting a quote right then and there, we have all of our contractors sending same day contracts every single time if it doesn't have to go through a design
That's
phase.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
it's been fantastic. And is it okay if we maybe show a little bit of our software on here too?
Yeah,
I mean,
go for it.
Tyler, would you like to pull it up, or you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, definitely. We can jump into it now if you want to go ahead and show Austin how it works. One
And
one point I wanted to just make on the closing rate was like most landscape contractors, they take 3 days to up to like a week on average to send out an estimate. So if you can just that simple thing of like bringing down that time to after you meet the client to actually sending it out to them, if you can send it out the same day or the next day, that
yeah,
that one change alone can like really help your close rate and just your communication and everything going on with the project. So that's one thing that we've trying to strive to do is to create a system that you can estimate accurately but also quickly so that you don't have to be bogged down for a week trying to send out all these quotes. So
yeah. And where'd the name Zevbit come from?
it's just a unique name that we thought of, something that wasn't already out there. So yeah, it's gonna turn into something big.
Okay.
Inshallah, do you want to cover too, just like why you came up with Zevbit? I mean,
Yeah, so I kind of was really into all like the number side to kind of learn about my business, and I was trying to figure out the best system to estimate. So when I started out, we were just doing square foot pricing. We were like, okay, we were figuring out what our competition, other companies were charging. Let's say $20 a square foot for pavers. We would get all of our numbers together, measure it out, and just send our quotes out that way. But it was really kind of guesswork and relying off of what these other companies charge rather than taking our numbers and really figuring out what we need to do to be profitable. So
Yeah,
we started out with a square foot pricing. We didn't know any better. That we weren't super like cash flow positive. There were some jobs that we would spend more than we anticipated on, and we wouldn't end up making any money on. So eventually we kind of switched our estimating system to use LMN for a while, which is another software in the industry, as well as Synced Up, which is another one, which both those systems are kind of the same way, where you can list out all of your different materials you're going to need and the labor and stuff. But it's all a very manual calculation. If you need to manually calculate how many tons of base rock you're going to need, how many bags of poly sand, how many hours it's going to take, you have to
Okay.
know all those numbers and plug them into the system. So we saw that and we were like, every estimate we were writing took an hour or two to send out, and we were like, there has to be a better way than this. Like we have to be able to just plug in the square footage, and then everything could be calculated for us. Like how many tons of base, how many tons of sand. We have like a
Yeah.
drop down to choose our type of paver, all that stuff. So that's kind of where the idea started. We built it into a spreadsheet at first, and it turned it into like an insanely detailed spreadsheet that I spent like months building. Like it had every single service, every calculation. And once that was out, we started like sharing it with some other companies. They were like, I need this. Like, this is insanely valuable for us. So that's when we saw, okay, we need to take the spreadsheet and actually turn it into a software that they can have on their phone. They can have anywhere they're going. There's way more features and functionality that we can add to it. So that's
Yeah.
what this turned into. Austin can show it here.
Yeah,
Awesome. And how long has it been out for?
We launched it in October.
Great. Very new.
launched in October. And also too, like we're not knocking contractors that are doing the square foot pricing, because I understand spending an hour, 2 hours doing it the right way, breaking it down to the materials and time that it's going to take. Like you're not getting paid for those hours. If you're getting paid for those hours, great. Yeah, let's sit down, let's do it. But if a client doesn't go with your quote, what happened to those lost 2 hours? That's really what we're trying to change here. And also too, it's like the lost family time. Like a lot of these guys have kids, they have
I was going
families.
to say, it's always in the evenings, isn't it? Or
100,
weekends or, yeah.
100%. And especially too for contractors who are wearing all the hats, right? The guys that are in the field, they're selling the jobs, they're writing the quotes, they're managing these projects. Like they're bringing these quotes home, they're having that stack, and yeah, it's a week later. I'm just getting my quote to Mrs. Jones, and she doesn't go with me. What happened to that lost 2 hours? I wasn't hanging out with my family, I wasn't having dinner with them, etc. So that's our big try and like flip. Now the other flip too is going to be when I show you the software, we're trying to get contractors not to think about their business as selling X amount of patios or X amount of driveways. We're trying to get them to think about it as I'm selling X amount of skilled labor hours on site at somebody's house. So we're breaking everything down to this man-hour basis. So I'm excited to show it to you.
Cool.
Would you mind adjusting the security so I can share my
Oh,
screen?
sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. So
Okay. There we go.
perfect. Let's roll. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys like a quick estimate. We can just do an example on like a paver patio. But first things first, I need to type in our search bar for the line items. So we have estimate templates for anything outdoor construction, whether it's hardscaping, softscaping, pools, fire pits, anything irrigation, drainage, and we can also custom build templates for any scope and service somebody provides. We will bring into other verticals, but for the time being, we're focused on outdoor construction. But let's go ahead and let's pull in a pavers in-house template. Now, keep in mind too, we do build all of our templates in-house, labor subbed and fully subbed, depending on your model and how you run your business. But when I expand the template here, you're going to see these element boxes. So I'm just going to have to plug in, let's say 1,000 square feet, and automatically we have a price. We have how many yards of soil we have to excavate X inches deep with a 15% over dig and a 25% fluff factor. How many haul off loads it is with my equipment's capacity. I can sub out the trucking or maybe use an in-house dump truck. It's going to drop it down. We have like the haul off hours, the load time, disposal costs I can plug in, and then we can start working on our base prep. So maybe we're using geotextile fabric. It's going to tell us how many rolls we need with our roll size here. We have our base preparation method, which this is one of my favorite parts about Zevbit. The only limitations here is your imagination. So we can custom tailor Zevbit to any installation method, since everybody has a different method to the madness. But let's say we're going with a layer of base rock and then a layer of sand as a bedding layer. We can select what type of base we're using. It's automatically calculating how much of each material we need. Maybe it's a driveway, we'll bump it up to 8 inches of base. It's calculating how many loads it'll be if we're picking it up, but we can always supply or deliver it. And then we can select what type of paver we're using, the size. It's telling us how many pallets we need. We can plug in things like linear footage of edge restraint, but this right here is the most important part about Zevbit. So where contractors are losing is underestimating the amount of hours that a project takes. The reason being, if their margin on labor is, let's say 20%, and they underestimate 1 man hour, it now takes 5 man hours profitless to recoup that one. So what we do is we break down their production rates, how fast their crews can get these tasks done, down to this task level. So you can see we have about 6 hours with 4 guys for excavation and prep, doing our stabilization grid, doing the base prep. But this is going to depend on things like accessibility, right? So what we have is we
Yeah.
have actors up above, but right now we're at good access. If I flip this to bad access, it's adding about $8,000 because now we're using a different production rate, a slower one that's going to add more man hours to this project. The same thing goes for things like materials. So right now we're at 128 linear feet of concrete edge restraint. It's going to take about, I don't know, 4 hours. But if I flip this to plastic, it uses a separate production rate as well, dropping it down to about 3 hours with 4 guys. So we do give a total amount of hours here. We have total days with X amount of guys. We are giving a price per square foot, like a unit price. However, it's not the unit price of, oh, what Joe on the other side of town's charging, so I'm going to drop it down a couple bucks. It's custom to their company details as well as the project details. Now, what we custom tailor this to is each company's material prices, production rates, and their overhead burden. We'll talk about overhead in a second, but you'll be able to see your gross profit margin, all of your different things that you're gonna have to spend a penny on in order to execute, whether it's haul off, materials, labor. And then my favorite part, it writes the contract for them, saving them a ton of time.
That is
So
nice.
one of the most important parts is this detail breakdown right here, because this is pretty like what the other softwares have, Elements synced up, is pretty much a table like this, but you have to go in and manually plug in all the details, all the quantities, how many
I was
hours,
gonna
how
ask.
many
Okay.
how many
Yeah.
materials, all that stuff. We have these element boxes up above that you just fill out, and then it automatically calculates everything for you. So it's just a way to speed it up a lot faster, and it doesn't rely off of the owner of the company to do the estimates. Once people set this system up, they can have anyone do the estimates just as well as they could, because it's all the numbers are in there and they just got to fill it out.
And so what you're saying is you're already estimating how long it's going to take to do each part of the job, and then you can still tweak that,
Yeah,
and you can
absolutely.
over time, and yeah.
Yep. If something on that job is going to take a little bit longer, you want to bump up the amount of days or adjust it. Everything is fully editable. Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, so you can just use these edited values here, like you can adjust any value in the system that we auto calculate. But the big thing too is like Shiloh said, it's the time savings on this. Like just having the time savings, the automatic calculations has been such a game changer, and standardizing these processes as well. So we have people that are startup companies that are using us that have never bid a job before in their life. We have a couple of remarkable stories. We got our guy Colo, shout out Colo, who grabbed our software, had never bid a project before in his life, and he ended up wanting to set up a business where he was subcontracting concrete. He grabbed our software. We were estimating all the materials for him. He was plugging in his subcontractor price. He ended up selling $200,000 worth of work his first month of business.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have stories like that, but we also have $10 million a year companies using us to standardize their processes because of how hard it is to train a new salesman in this industry. They're not able to look at things like accessibility right away, or what the excavation is going to be looking like. Can I get a machine in the backyard? Things like that, where it's going to make a massive difference on the project when it comes to labor hours or how we
Yeah.
have to this project. But training these people can take years. So what we do is we take the owner or the lead estimators, like their industry experience, their knowledge, their pricing, everything from their head, and we're able to lay it out in these formulas and in these element boxes where anybody can write it. Even your dog can come on here and just type in a couple basic project details. But going up here too, we do have some awesome reporting on each project as well. So it takes all the line items, because you can have multiple line items on here: paver driveway, paver patio, you have some planting, irrigation, drainage, etc. And then it's going to give you a total project price, a total project cost for you to execute, so your actual cost of goods sold, and then breakdowns for material, labor, sub costs. Now, this expected overhead is something extremely different that we're doing as well. We've spent countless amounts of hours and dollars trying to figure out the best overhead recovery method. And what we came up with is doing it on a man-hour basis. So what we do is we get all of their overhead expenses for the year. So whether it's truck payments or insurances, anything that's a non-project expense, we total it with our overhead calculators, which we have calculators for all of this. But what we do is we divide by their production capacity. So how many field labor hours them and their team can work on site in 12 months. And we break it down to this hourly rate. And we're able to do this since we're actually able to accurately calculate how many hours the project's going to take. We multiply the amount of man hours by that overhead recovery rate per hour, and it gets us our expected overhead on the project, which allows us to show them what net profits they should be walking away with before they break ground.
Okay.
So another cool feature too is called Client View. Now, Client View has been actually helping our customers close more deals as well. It gives the contractor the ability to give the customer, the homeowner, or the commercial building owner, whoever it is, insight into their pricing. So when I flip this into client view, you're going to see that all of these markups and margins are now going to be hidden. It's going to be just showing the project total and the details about their project. That detailed breakdown, that table is hidden, where I can show
Okay,
the
and quantities.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just showing the project details, I can show the customer my screen, involve them in the quoting process. Maybe Mrs. Jones can't afford a $41,000 patio. I can drop it down to maybe 700 square feet or show her a cost comparison with some stamped and colored concrete and work within her budget. Now, not a lot of contractors can give pricing on site. If they are, they're just throwing something at the wall, see if it sticks. But also too, like just giving them insight into why I have to charge this much. This is how long it's going to take. This is why I'm charging you the 36,000. It's been huge for our contractors. And one of the coolest parts too, they press a button, automatically populates a contract. We have a lot of guys that are offering
Oh,
1,000
wow.
you sign right now, but you have a cover photo, company info, customer info automatically pulled in from our powerful CRM. And then it builds out your line items for you, pulling all those project details in, which all of this is customizable, company-wide or project by project. You have expandable photos the customer can click on if you email this to them. But as a contract total, payment terms, you can add tax if Uncle Sam needs to get his hand in there. We got payment terms, when they need to be paid, how much needs to be paid, and then we combine a project or a proposal and a contract in one, where you can use our Zevbit terms that we give to all of our users that are bulletproof, or they can add their own terms in, and it's all electronically signable. So I can just type my name, I can
Wow.
select the style, or if I'm an estimator under like the boss can put his signature in the settings, and I can drop my boss's signature on every quote. But when I save this,
Okay.
I've been like IP address, date, time zone, timestamp. It's just as legally binding as DocuSign. Customer can sign from my iPad or my phone if I'm estimating on site, or I can email it right on off to the customer and send it right on off.
Hmm.
So that's
That
the
is impressive.
yeah. What do you think?
I I'm just thinking about how much time we can save. So I have a landscape business still in Scotland. And again, I was always the one doing the quotes. And, I mean, we try to do things in a week, but when you're running a few jobs and doing quotes in the evenings, you can't get them turned around that quickly. So the fact that you could get this signed off in person, and you're even doing the DocuSign, um, you know, right then and there is fantastic. I love how you have the all the details for us as business owners or estimators, and you can overwrite that, or you can just keep it as is, but then you flip it into the client mode. And I think one of the things that we don't always do a good job of is explaining what it takes to build up underneath a patio, a driveway, retaining walls, all of those pieces. And by having the job description, and you're digging out this much, this is the volume that you're excavating, this is what you're throwing away, your disposal costs, because again, we're trying to get to a number always. So I realized that I often would forget to talk the client through every part of the process, to tell them how much work it is. Laying the paving is really just the finished article, and it's actually not the structural element. There's so much more that goes below it or behind it, whichever, whatever you're doing. I think we as an industry could do more to educate clients what we're actually doing every step of the way. So the fact that you have that part of the contract makes it really visible, and then the clients probably feel like they know what's going on a lot more too. So
Yeah, these
yeah,
homeowners do things. They know what they want and they know what their budget is. But educating them on these things really allows them to understand your pricing a lot better. Especially too, like naming out everything in the descriptions on the quote has been huge as well. Like I talk to guys that I sign up that I kind of like ask like, hey, can I see a example quote of like a quote that you've sent recently? And it's basically just, hey, paper patio, here's the price. This is what we're doing. And it's so much more like it's almost like an educational piece when the customer gets to read through this. Okay, we're excavating this much soil. We have to haul it
yeah,
off. It really allows them to lay it out in their heads. They know what A, going on in their backyard, and B, why it costs so much. Because our scopes and
yeah.
services, these are not cheap.
And they'll go to Home Depot or Lowe's and go, well, this paving costs this per square meter. Why am I paying this? And, so we do as an industry need to talk that through with clients. So I think it helps to have, anything automated that can help us describe it. Now, you know what we're doing as a company is trying to highlight better ways of working, equipment that helps you do things more efficiently, like software that you're doing. But how do you keep on top of all of the you know different ways of laying, different paving? Do you have, is it different for porcelain paving? Is it different for natural stone block paving? What about new products that are coming on the market for building walls? How are you keeping on top of all of those things?
Yeah, so as far as the software itself, we have templates for every single different service. So like
Okay.
paver patio will be one template, porcelain will be separate, flagstone, travertine, bluestone,
Okay.
concrete are all like they're all different templates that we can customize and make specific. Where let's say for pavers, it's just a base rock option where once you go to bluestone, travertine, or flagstone, then there's an option to pour concrete base underneath it and then mortar it in. So
Okay.
the templates are all kind of specific to
Yes.
installation methods or different ways of doing things. Also, like Austin said at the beginning, there's in-house, labor subbed, and fully subbed. So some
Yeah.
people might do some stuff in-house and subcontract out other stuff. So we have templates to kind of work for all different ways and methods of doing it.
I think that is it's kind of like you're setting everybody up at the start, for success.
Yeah, so all
And
of our, unlike these other companies, Element, Synced Up, again, they make you build all your templates yourself. Like you have to go and add, like put in, oh, for a paver, I need this, this, and this, and this, and like kind of put in all the details, and then you can kind of have the items kind of in there. But with Zevbit, we actually spent like months building out all of these templates, extremely detailed for every service, so that when a company comes in, they're already there, specific to how most of the time how they do things. And then if there's like a little customization or something we don't already have, we have people that can build those. So
okay,
yeah, that's kind of how that system works, is like we have
fantastic.
templates for all the different stuff. As far as the materials go, like if a new type of paver comes out or wall block or even just pricing is updated, there's like a whole settings section in the system where you can edit all the pricing and keep up to
Okay.
date with that so that you have all your accurate material prices in there.
Wow. And so you've only launched, am I right, 6 or 7 months ago?
Yeah.
And what's the feedback been from clients, or
It's been
people that you've
amazing.
presented to?
Nothing but good things. Pretty much. There's a lot of people that are really loving the program and taking advantage of it. Sending multiple quotes a day, getting a lot of signed estimates back. So it's always great for us to see like people getting results and getting the signed estimates. Just the other day, someone closed like an $85,000 job, and we see them come in every day. So yeah, it's great to know the companies who are on are using it, and it's helping them a lot. But yeah, it's been going great. We have over 120 contractors on the system as of right now, but we have more coming in every day.
And so, Shiloh, are you still running your landscape business?
I am, yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is just a evening and weekend part, or
So yeah, the landscaping company I just work on a little bit here and there when I need it. My brother
okay.
primarily runs it, so he's the one kind of managing the crews and doing
Okay.
estimates and whatnot. But yeah, I'm still involved with that. We still have a landscaping.
Okay. And
Yeah.
they're using Zevbit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's really great to see young entrepreneurs in the business, making waves, and challenging the status quo. I think that, I mentioned, Austin, when we met, that maybe you guys need to be at our next Sync Live event. So we'll have to, yeah, talk more about that as we're planning it. But one of the things we want to celebrate is young entrepreneurs doing things their own way and kind of, yeah, blazing a new path in our industry. And it affects, I think you said 120 contractors. Well, that's 120 contractors that could have gone out of business or not made ends meet and, not made a success of being in our industry. And we want to encourage more people to be successful in our industry and to come into our industry. So, yeah, it's great that you're blazing that path for all these companies to be successful. So thank you for your contributions. Um,
Honestly, a little bit of a shock factor for these people too. Like when we do our initial onboarding, I hate using this word. I absolutely hate this word, but it's essentially it's a business audit. Like what we're doing is we're like really digging into their numbers, figuring out what they need to be charging. And sometimes these people have been so far off where they look at it and they're like, oh my God, I've been leaving so much money on the table. Like, yeah, I'm getting jobs. Yeah, my guys are busy, they're paid. I'm getting some profits out of it. But when they see these numbers, they figure out exactly what they need to be charging per hour. Sometimes it's half of what they should be charging. So sometimes it is a little bit of a shock factor, but moving forward with Zevbit, it allows them to just clean up any of that cash left on the table. It allows them to run more smoothly.
and so I guess I'm just thinking of payroll and all that. I mean, that's covered in your overhead costs, the taxes and
Employer
everything that.
taxes we include as a labor burden cost. So
Okay.
we have a budget tool calculator. We could show it to you if you'd like, but it's basically
Okay.
a budget tool where they can plug in how many employees they have, how much they pay per hour. They can plug in things like what percent of payroll do they pay in
To
workers' comp,
withhold.
what percent of payroll do they
Okay.
pay in employer taxes,
Yeah.
how many hours of unbillable time, like shop tasks, unloading and loading trucks, that kind of stuff. And we'll
Okay.
break that down to include it in their hourly costs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. No, I think you know, our industry still has a long way to go in maybe the contractual and explaining parts and profit, So it looks like you're making things a step change better. So, great.
For anybody listening too, we have all sorts of free tools as well, whether it's our budgeting tools, our overhead recovery tools. We have job costing systems. We have free contract terms that we love to give out just to make sure you guys are protected on contracts for things like unforeseen items while excavating, or if materials go up from the time of contract signed to the time that you're purchasing the materials.
Yeah.
Protections for you guys. You guys don't need to buy the software. We want to help out in any way we can to push your businesses forward and ensure your guys' success.
And so how can they learn about more? Who do they contact? Shiloh, Austin, who, where, what?
We do have a sales team that loves to help out, whether it's showing you guys our software or showing you guys demos. But I mean, you guys can reach out to us on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can also reach out to us on our website, zevbit.com, zevbit.com. You can reach out to any of us. Like, call the support line. It's going to call all of our phones. Like, our team is well connected, and we're growing by the day. So it's going well. We're excited to help you guys out, and yeah, reach out in any facet. Like, we're always available.
All right. Well, hopefully we can have you guys showcased at our next event. So
And
watch
when
this
is there?
space.
When
It
where is
is
that?
in January, and we're deciding between two locations right now, Atlanta or Fort Lauderdale, but I think the vote is Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lottie, let's go. Friend.
We're in.
Awesome. Well, thanks for changing the game. And Shiloh, you have a great story. I think it's inspiring to hear about breaking down those age barriers and not only that, but also making things easier for other companies. We need more of this, and yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And a lot has happened through that whole process. We've learned like a ton through everything that's happened. We actually, as we started to grow, like we had things we learned with like mismanaging projects, like times we would have to go back and to callbacks, like when we made a mistake on something. There was certain times, all kinds of stuff that would kind of pop up and really cut into your profitability. We
Yeah.
also learned a lot of lessons with kind of growing too fast, because we grew from like 10 employees to 40 employees in like about a year and a half. So from scaling that fast, I just want to like kind of preface it for anyone watching, just kind of be just don't always chase the shiny new trucks and the big revenue goals and like all that stuff. Really focus on your numbers and make sure you're being profitable, and don't get ahead of yourself with all that, because we got ourselves in kind of a bad situation. We got like taken advantage of from our office managers, embezzling money from us. And it
Oh,
started putting
goodness.
us into like a cash flow where we had cash flow issues. You know, we were struggling to keep everything going. So we ended up taking out like high interest loans to kind of cover the cash flow issues. We didn't know we were being embezzled at the time. So we
Oh,
were
my
just like,
goodness.
why are we struggling so much with the cash flow? Like, why isn't there more profit than we were hoping? And later we found out we were being embezzled, which made a lot more sense. But at the time we took out these high interest loans, the interest just dug ourselves a deeper hole. And eventually
Yeah.
we were kind of in an option where we had to actually file bankruptcy. So that's kind of a whole process we went through after growing up that large company and going through that. And we really took a lot of lessons away from that. There was an incredible amount of stuff learned, and we kind of took everything from that and have then rebuilt, but this time like keeping it small and efficient with like one crew.
Okay.
So now we run 4 guys, one crew, keeping it more focused and efficient compared
Yep.
to how we were before. And we've just taken everything we learned from that and really put it into this new company to be as efficient and profitable as possible. But I just kind of wanted to preface that, because
Yeah.
when you grow that large and you're going that big and you're just chasing the trucks and the revenue goals, stuff like that can happen. You can get taken advantage of from your office people, or something else could happen that some when you're running a project and you have 10 or 15% margins on it, one thing goes wrong and you're in the hole,
And
and
you're toast.
it can
Yeah.
start adding up, and then you're missing payroll or whatever happens, and it can kind of really escalate quickly. So I just want everyone to kind of, instead of chasing the trucks and more employees, more crews, more growing, just to kind of focus on your numbers, make sure you're being as profitable as you can with your current setup, and
Hmm.
then looking at expanding.
That's a really good point. And I think we maybe don't talk about our failures as much because it's, you don't want to, do you? I mean, and failure leads to success. So it actually often is a stepping stone to more success because you turn it around. Um, Sounds like that's what you've been able to do, growing too
Yeah,
quickly, and you've
absolutely.
learned a lot from it. And bigger is not always better. It's
Yeah.
more risk, more on the
Yeah,
line.
and if you are doing it, just making sure like you have the right people and like the right systems in place and everything kind of really. When we learned like incredible amount, like I said, like going from that smaller stage to that huge company and growing that whole thing, we learned like so much about every single aspect of hiring employees, hiring salespeople, managers, like shops, and everything that goes into it. And now we with the opportunity to kind of do it again, we would rather kind of stay on a smaller scale with way higher profit margins than having all this amount of trucks and equipment and all this stuff that's super high overhead and all these things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
We'll focus on staying with 1 or 2, maybe 3 crews, and focusing on a little bit smaller, but really being efficient, profitable, and knowing our numbers, job costing all our projects, that kind of stuff.
Mm, yeah. It probably helps your turnover too, and in staff, and the smaller everybody knows everybody, and it's not getting new people in all the time is probably nicer too. So, well, fantastic. Well, sounds like you have a lot to share with the audience
Yeah.
about yeah, lots of lessons. So, everybody, you should check out the Zevbit software, get in touch with them and get a demo and try it out. So great. Well, thanks, Austin and Shiloh, for telling us a little bit about you and how things are going with Zevbit and your launch in the first year. So congratulations. And we look forward to hearing more from you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you having us on, and we look forward to discussing further in the future.